Hey guys, I just want to do a quick gardening update as well as my top tips and tricks that I've learned so far in my little gardening adventure. So all of the plants that you see out here, lettuce, I believe there's beans, cucumbers, carrots, onions, a couple other things. All of this was started from seeds, and I think we had a morning several weeks ago when I just planted them and everything was just barely starting to come up, or it was still in the ground. And the morning was very cold. It was below freezing. And I put a tarp over that covered over everything. And I left it over for about, I believe it was about 48 hours because it was dry. I did water it when it dried out, but put the tarp back over it during the day because we had 2 nights that were below freezing. But what happened is it was so, I guess, because of the compost mixture, this is sand, garden soil, and horse manure. The tarp trapped in a lot of heat, and I had excellent germination from the seeds when I pulled the tarp off one morning after it had warmed up. The morning was very cold. I came out here at about 11 a.m. to pull the tarp off, and everything had sprouted. And I was like, what? I was like, wait, oh, the seeds just needed that little bit of heat and that I guess pressure just from the tarp laying over it, just to get them to germinate. And because the soil was wet, but that keeping the heat trapped in certainly did the trick of getting everything to germinate. And everything is going absolutely crazy. It's way too dense. I'm gonna have to harvest very often, especially the lettuce. Probably I could harvest right now, to be honest. I'm gonna come out here with scissors and just cut the top parts. But so yeah, I've done another garden plot where I tested that exact same thing. We just called it the chicken garden. I just put some logs together and put stakes on the outside of the logs, and it's about a same size plot as this. Threw a bunch of seeds out there, watered it, but for about 3 nights I put a tarp over it, and within about a week all the seeds germinated. So had 100% just about germination. I think a few things are still coming in, but all the beans, we did herbs, did all kinds of stuff. Everything is sprouted. So just having that tarp over there, and I would leave it over during a hot day, and I just believe that little bit of heat and keeping everything moist, because in order to germinate seeds, a method is to put them in a bag, well, on a paper towel that's soaking wet, or not soaking wet, but it's damp, and in a warm environment, and that will get the seeds to germinate. So I'm just doing that with a tarp during the heat of the day, and haven't had an issue with that. So a neat little thing. I used to have major problems putting seeds out, and they would never germinate. Nothing would grow. Another thing that I could say is this sandy soil back here, there's a lot of sand in it. And I'll show you a lot of this. I mean, I can dig it with my finger. It's so sandy. But there's a lot of good nutrients in it from the horse manure and then the garden soil that I got. That the garden soil is dug out of a riverbed, so it's got tons of rotten junk in there that the plants just love to eat, and everything is just going crazy. This is I believe we started this mid-March. So really hasn't been out here all that long. I water it once a day. But yeah, all the tomatoes that we're just doing 5-gallon buckets. I was going to try some hanging tomatoes, but it's not worth the effort. So I just turned the buckets upside down and filled the buckets full of dirt, put a single tomato in each bucket, and that's what we're doing for the tomatoes. As far as how the chickens are doing, they eat everything, and I love that, because with having kids and You know, we used to have a lot of food waste, but now I have none. I do not put food in the trash can anymore, and I love that. All of the eggs that we get from neighbors or we buy now, because our chickens are not old enough to lay eggs yet, but all of those eggs we will crush up into a fine powder and put back into their feed to supplement. And they eat very little feed that I actually put out for them. The rest they forage for, or I will get weeds, dandelions, all kinds of weeds out of the yard. I'll throw it out there to them. They will eat all those weeds. And then whatever, all kinds of food scraps, because we eat lots of fruit. But I am looking forward to all the food scraps from this garden will go to them, and whatever we get out of the chicken garden will go to feed them this summer. So a very economical way to keep my chickens, keeps my costs down. The only cost I'm really going to have going forward, it will be the chicken feed. And then I'm going to have to build some nesting boxes and get a bigger watering can and stuff like that. Otherwise, as far as sustainability, I think it's going to be a great project, because the life cycle will stay here at the homestead as far as being able to feed the chickens and the chickens feeding us. So I think that's a pretty cool thing. Either way, guys, just giving you a heads up, showing you how the garden's doing, how the chickens are doing, and I'll talk to you later.